pioneer. She has been born in Eastern Germany, then she came to Austria, grew up here, studied here. She is author, singer, she was a dancer, she wrote her book about the bastard, and I think some other books. And she went into politics because she saw the trouble, especially also in Austria, for single parents and their children. So she went into politics to change something, especially to modernize the Austrian maintenance law. And she was the founder of the Tankstay. The Tankstay is a day where the single parents and their children are celebrated with the family members. And so she began networking also with many networks all over the world with single parents and their children. And this her pioneer work brought her also to the United Nations so that she could make a speech in March, the CSW 69, March 2022-5. And she is also very engaged in, we have a organization here, because she's also a member of the Austrian Women Wing. That is the biggest network organization of networks in Austria for women. And here we have an organization that is called FEMA, an organization that takes care also of single parents and children. And she more or less groomed up the organization and groomed up the people that are working in this organization, how to do the work so that it's very efficient. So she is today in our midst looking back for her own life, how she came to the work, plus about the present work she does, building a global network, historical research, the tank scala, what we have, then and then for the future, the 12 projects she has with the tank scale. So, Mrs. Stern, we give you the floor, and we are very happy to have you here.
Thank you so much for inviting me, and thank you for your patience. I will. Before I start, just to say, I did not groom up FEMA, but Andrea Tuck, she was working for me, and then she had the idea for FEMA and built that very well. Right. Now everybody is sitting. Who walks the red carpet can no longer be swept under the carpet. 17 years ago, I would never have dreamed of organizing a gala for single-parent families. 17 years ago, I just was a very happily divorced woman and mother of 3 little children. Until the letter came. The letter from my ex-husband, who started his own business after divorce. And he wrote me, "I'm so sorry, I cannot pay anything anymore." And I was just shocked. I will never, ever forget this moment. Alone in the bathroom with this letter. And I was so shocked that my ex-husband, also after divorce, was still able to mess up my life in 1 second. And, which I did not know yet, the law protects me. It took 1.5 years before I received adequate state support for my 3 children instead of alimony. And let's face something, Austria is one of the richest countries in the world. But at that time, 17% of children from single-parent families did not receive alimony nor state support. Now, a few years later, after COVID and the Russian war in Ukraine, it's about 34%. They just don't get anything. When I faced poverty because of this bad law, I could hardly sleep. I cried every day when my children did not see. I was so angry, I was desperate, and I felt like a very, very old woman. It's almost 70 years ago, but I felt much older than I feel now. And I was also so dizzy that I could not move my head left or right, which was very complicated with 3 little children and working as a dancing teacher. But there was one thing. I was never ashamed of my situation. My thought was, the people who should be shamed are the people who brought my children and me into this situation. But yet, every day I push myself beyond physical and mental limits. And I was not admired for this. I was despised. And today I had kind of a flashback because a single mom called me. Her really wealthy husband, ex-husband, has not paid alimony for years and delayed the maintenance proceedings also for years. And this morning, 3 bailiff, executors and 2 police officers just came inside her apartment, besides her property. And when she told me this, she could hardly talk because she was crying so loud, because she's now afraid since today that she is becoming homeless together with her child. Just because her wealthy ex-husband does not pay and the law still protects him. And yes, I'm getting angry, really angry. And that's why I dedicate, because when I'm angry, I'm getting inspired. I dedicate this speech to her and all the other millions of single mothers that face structural and institutional violence every day around the globe. A lot of single moms leave the fathers of the children because they faced physical, mental, or sexual violence. That means one thing: strengthening single mothers means to avoid femicides. Strengthening single mothers means just to save lives. My children 17 years ago clearly understood the situation. They understood why I always said, no, we cannot afford this and I cannot buy that. So they stopped asking me if I could buy a book or pens for school. Going to swim or buying just an ice cream was pure luxury. And at this time, I knew one thing: or I get sick, or I get loud. And I became loud, very loud. I became a political activist for the rights of single moms and their children. I founded my first association, collected signatures and celebrity for a petition to modernize the maintenance law in Austria. This did not really help, so I decided to stand 1 hour every Wednesday in the front of Parliament with my shield in my hand. And that was the moment when the media started to take notice. They wrote about me, they asked me, and they invited me to talk shows. So slowly, I made the issue become a topic. And the journalist Nadia Sadenblatt wrote in her very, very good book, Frauen, Macht, Medien, Maria Stern is a modern suffragette for single moms. And then something interesting happened, because during the time of activism, my suffering turned into sense. Of course, I did not have time and I did not have energy because I still was a single mom of 3 small children and I was working. But my engagement gave me back power and gave me back respect. And one sunny day, it even gave me a lot of money. At that time, I spoke to politicians of all parties, except the far-right ones, until now. And they all said, oh, this is so bad. We did not know this law is so old. We have to change it. But they didn't for years. And one day I was so sick also of that situation that I decided to go into politics myself. And during the national election 2017, I made the issues of single moms and child poverty a political issue. And 1 year later, I became chairwoman of the parliamentary party, Jetzt. And Then something very interesting happened because as a top politician, I was asked a lot of questions. And I turned almost every question in a single mom's issue. That means we need more single moms in politics. And we need more activists, and we need structures, and we need money to do this important pioneer work. And this is also very important for me to say, I faced both. I faced being a pure working single mom, and I faced being a top politician. And as a single mom, I worked more, and I had more responsibility. And this makes the next thing clear. It's the following: we need to change our look at single moms. We need to change their image, because single moms are the benchmark of women's policy. Only when single moms are doing well, women's policy is a success. They are the benchmark. In this time, I was an activist. I wanted to learn everything about the subject, and I wondered why so many single moms suffer from poverty, stress, and isolation, and nobody gives a shit. Sorry for my language, but that's just the fact. One day, I was sure that this must have historical reasons. So I started to do research, and I found out that also the history of single mothers and their children has not been written yet. So I did even more research because I just had the ambition of giving single moms their history, that they understand their situation right now. And I did also not understand why there is no history written yet, because single moms have always been there in every culture, in every country. They were the fallen mothers with their bastards. And so I wrote Bastards, a monologue with stories from the Greek mythology to Christianity and fairy tales. It was very interesting what is in fairy tales from the Middle Age until now. And then I started to look around in present time around the world, around the globe. And I wrote monologues also about single moms in Austria, US, Turkey, Iran, Brazil, China, and so on, Ukraine. And then I published Bastard as an audiobook at Spotify and Apple Podcast. It is still only in German, but yet you can listen to it. Just to give a few spotlights. Did you know that the Empress Maria Theresia killed single mothers who had abortions out of desperation by the sword? Did you know that Angelina Jolie herself started to change the image of single mothers worldwide after 10,000 years? Did you know that there are about 2.6 million single mothers in Iran? And most of them are widows because their husbands were murdered by the regime. And did you know that raped pregnant women in Turkey can still be murdered today because they brought shame on their families? I think it's important that we know our history in order to take off our heavy backpack we all carry without guilt. Because when we don't know our history, we also don't understand why it feels how it feels. Yes. For thousands of years, single mothers and their children have been discriminated, and this must stop because we are also human beings, even our children. And society needs our potential, especially in a world that is falling apart right now. Let me ask you something. If Shakespeare would have been a single mom, would he have written any play? If Albert Einstein had been a single mom, would we know his name? If Mozart had been a single mom, who would have written The Magic Flute? And if Donald Trump was a single mom, would he act like he does? It is simply stupid to do without the potential of single mothers. We are masters of resilience. We are total high achievers and we are top managers. We are focused, organized, efficient, flexible, responsible, empathic, and solution-oriented. Once I was asked by our party founder why I was so focused, organized, efficient, flexible, responsible, empathic, and solution-oriented in my political work, and why I did not get involved in hours of fruitless debates and internal power struggles. And my answer was, well, it's very easy. I'm a single mom. 1 year ago, I talked for the UN the very first time. It was also March at the Women's Conference in New York. And people told me that I was invited to talk at the very first event for and about single mothers in the history of UN Women Conferences. And my only thought was, how can that be? Single mothers are not a fringe group, and we've never been. We've always been part of every society. Only in the German-speaking countries, we talk about 3 million single moms. In the US, 13.6 million. Worldwide, 175 million single moms. Together with our children, we are about 500 million people. We matter. And we do not longer accept that we have so little attention and so little resources that we even don't have an umbrella organization in Europe, also not in Austria, nowhere. But which I'm just about to build up, by the way. But I cannot do this alone, though that's also why I'm here right now. Last spring in New York, I visited Lady Liberty, the Statue of Freedom, and she is a woman. And I was looking at her and I was thinking, well, for me, I love you and you are, for me, a single mom. She carries the torch of freedom and brings light in old habits, thought patterns, and toxic laws. In her other hand, she holds words because she knows what she's doing. Single moms just want their freedom. And that means time and money. Good laws, structures, and one loud voice around the globe, and solidarity. After my time in politics, I founded the organization Thanks Day, World's Day for Single Parent Families and Friends. My organization wants attention, acknowledgement, and appreciation for single parent families. So today I do the attention and acknowledgement thing. Since summer 2021, we organized Thanks Summits, the very first online conferences with single mom organizations in the history. Through the summits, we got connected with about 30 single parent organizations worldwide. And we now want to connect them all, to inspire each other, to learn from each other, and to strengthen each other. And this year we will organize the third Thanks Gala, where we roll out the red carpet for single parent families and their children. Because we know who walks the red carpet can no longer be swept under. The response is overwhelming. Brands like L'Oréal, Lindt Chocolate, or DM were immediately on board. Also 2 Austrian presidents who support the gala and VIPs from the world of art, culture, sports, and business. Like Erika Pluha, Thomas Brezina, Adel Neuhauser, Andre Heller, Josef Harder, Chris Lohner, Hubert von Geusern, Nadia Malé, and Mark Ellsberg, who just published his next thriller. And many more. And I just want to read some words from the guest book that you get an impression how important this gala is. I laughed, I cried, I was silent, listening, discussing afterwards, and above all, full of admiration for the engagement. Learned a lot and love the red carpet meaning. Love and congratulations. May all children of single parents grow up strong and proud to change the world so that poverty, social marginalization, and all kinds of injustice that they and their parents, who are mostly women, experience are transformed into the strength and courage of fundamental change for all of us. Thank you for Thanks Day. A huge thank you from the Ukrainian women for the wonderful support in Austria. And a big thank you, Maria Stern, and her amazing commitment to women and children. Thank you so much for raising awareness of this issue and getting things moving. We need you urgently. When I attended the presentation of the European study on mothers, initiated by the international organization Make Mothers Matter in the European Parliament last fall, I was greeted by many women with the words, "Oh, you're Maria, the one with the gala in Vienna." That gives me hope. What horrifies me is the result of the study. 67% of mothers in Europe feel overloaded. 50% suffer from depression, anxiety, or burnout. 50%. That's every second. That's alarming. And I don't understand why this fact does not make headlines every day. Is it because it's only about mothers? Is it because it's just about care work that has to be done for free, out of love? No matter how bad mothers feel and are treated by the rest of society. In my opinion, we don't have a demographic problem, no. In the Western world, we have a birth strike. And only if we name this very clear, we can ensure better living conditions to encourage young women to have children. Low birth rates are not an individual problem, but one that affects society as a whole. It is a mother's issue that concerns the future of us all. Poverty, stress, and isolation among single mothers are not a personal failure, but the collective failure of patriarchal patterns of thought and behavior that harms life itself. And I understand young women are no longer willing to put up with this. They woke up a long time ago. On Instagram, I see more and more young single mothers asking society if we all are totally crazy treating them like we do. And I just loved it. About the world situation. Quite interesting to get some information. Did you know that in Quebec, since January the 1st of this year, fathers who are able but not willing to pay alimony, they must give away their driving license. They lose their driving license. I have this information from Maria Racine, Director of Care for Families Monoparentales in Canada. Did you know that in North Macedonia, an association founded by the Children for Single Parents are pushing the government to implement one reform after the other because they as children are totally innocent. And that in North Macedonia, many single parents are without any rights because they are not recognized as single parents. Thank you for this information, dear Stanisha Stankovic, from Youth of Diverse Families in North Macedonia. And did you know that divorced mothers in southern India have to spend their entire lives in the home of their former in-laws, are only allowed to go out in public with a man, and that they have so little rights that they are not even allowed to go to their own children's wedding? This information, thank you so much, Edith Schlaffer, founder of Women Without Borders. Did you know that during COVID, single parents associations in wealthy Japan primarily gave food to single mothers and their children? I have this information from Kuni Koyama, founder of Little Ones in Tokyo. And did you know that Maasai women in Zanzibar cannot rely on their husbands in any way? Their husbands only visit their numerous wives for food and sex. Don't even know which children they produced, and that the government has absolutely no laws to protect them, just nothing. But there, in the solidarity of women, you really find the saying, it takes a village to raise a child. Thank you for this information, Eva and Constanze, the founder of Moyo in Zanzibar. Well, all these people and informations I have because of the summits, which you can all watch at my homepage. Much more, it's www.thanksday.com. Networking makes sense, exchanging information makes sense, and developing structure makes sense. Joining forces makes sense, learning to speak with one global voice makes sense, and it costs money. To realize more projects, I need more money. Many years ago, I succeeded in convincing politicians that single parents vote. At the moment, I'm convincing companies that single parents shop. So when it's about single parents, you really have to explain everything. And honestly, I'm really slowly getting impatient that I don't already have enough money to implement all the projects on my laptop with my excellent teams who are only waiting for the go. It's just money. I've been doing pioneering work now for 15 years, and I know what it means. It's just talking, and having a lot of patience. And I learned to live with that. But you know what? I'm just about losing my patience. We need a disruptive shift in our mindsets because 500 million people are not a marginal group. We can continue to ignore just because we have been doing so for thousands of years. The 500 million deserve to finally be seen, respected, and supported. So bring on the money right here. ThanksDay delivers the global market. Why we need money? A lot of single parents associations all over the world, meanwhile, want to organize thanks galas if they have the money. I want to expand the thanks summits into European and international conferences to invite all the organizations to Vienna and to finally establish umbrella organizations. Also that costs money, not a lot, but it costs money. And as a former top politician, I know how it works. And I want money for the very first international app for single mothers. The prototype is long finished. I just need money to bring it on market. And I also want to create a working platform where single parent organizations worldwide can connect on a very low level. We have too few studies, no international campaigns, and I'm upset that so much know-how gets lost just because we don't have communication channels in times of KI. And I want to give painting single mothers a platform to show their art and sell it so they get more money so they can paint more. Sophie Worley, who worked for the MoMA in New York, is ready to curate an exhibition in the US. She just needs money. And also the Austrian curator, Alexandra Grubert, is waiting for years now that I'm able to give her money for an exhibition in Vienna with art of single mothers. The same applies to music and literature. I want an archive of texts written by single parents and their children so the rest of the world understands their nightmares since thousands of years and in present time. We need these texts to get rid of our historical baggage, and the time has really come to make this shift. And I also want to document single parents organizations worldwide by film. My daughter is studying film. to make visible what single parents and their children are confronted with in despair, and their hope is growing, like, for example, in Canada. And I, of course, I've been a politician, want to formulate demands for the European Parliament and collect 1 million signatures in all 27 EU member states within a year, so that things finally start to move forward also in Brussels. And I want to create a kind of Amnesty International for single parents, and every time there's a change of law in any parliament on the world, the political decision makers get mails from all over the world with one clear message: we are watching you. Of course, I can't do this alone, but I have a lot of teams, and I'm a networker, and I love new teams. I also enjoy working within existing international structures because maybe it makes things go faster. Here at the end, I want to show you the very first manifesto written by the Dutch organization Make Mothers Matter, Single Supermom, Make Mothers Matter, and the new house from Stockholm University and Thanks Day, presented last year at the UN conference in New York. And last fall, that was the very first global symposium for single parent organizations in Lyon, in Spain, and we also wrote a manifesto signed by 13 organizations from almost every country. I am very glad that I could write this manifestos together with other very, very successful and good working organizations, but I would prefer more that step by step these things would come into real. Yeah. Now my last sentences. We all know that Trump and his fellows confuse the world right now, also the UN. So does his wife. But you know, the singer-songwriter John Baez once said, action is the medicine for despair. So please, let's not get confused. Let's use the challenges as an opportunity to propose brand new visions, especially for single parents and children throughout the whole world. Now it's time to talk, it's time to write, it's time to connect, and it's time to finance, to get things real. Happy Women's Day. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the very impressive work you do and all what you told us. I invite all of you. There are questions.
Also online. They can also ask the questions online.
Okay. And also,
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Nobody wants to ask.
Yeah.
I thank you very much. I took some notes because this is a topic that is so fascinating, because really it may sound cynical, but every time a new war starts, then you're going to have more single mothers.
Yes, it is like that, yeah.
Yeah, so it's something that historically is always existed, as you say. And now, in more recent times, it's taking some different aspects, because you have categories of single mothers that are not because they become widowers very soon, but because of divorce, and because you have an attitudinal issues of former husbands. So you focused mostly about money. That is obviously the prerequisite of doing anything else. Have you done anything, I'm sure, in your research and studies about the the other way around, when not only the mother is left single, but the former husband is actively seeking to remove the children from them. That is a serious problem, a problem of psychological violence and pressure.
Well, actually, I know all about that. When I was in politics, I talked to a lot of people who also faced that their children were taken away from the government, and most of the children that they were taken away from the parents are from single mothers or from families with a migrant background, and the worst it is with single mothers who have a migrant background. I know that. And we tried to make it a political issue in the parliament. We did. There were huge debate, and the result was that the control about all the organizations was, how do you say it in English, was verländert. So not the government had the control, but 9 different.
Yeah.
So it was, now it's almost not possible anymore to control anything. So it got worse. And I know that. Yes. Yeah. It also has a lot to do with changing situation 2013. Kindschaftsrechtsänderungen, because before 2013, it was normal that a mother gets the children and the right over her children, especially when there was domestic violence. And now we have the situation that women who say that they have faced domestic violence, they are in danger that they lose the Obsorge. So I'm also in this subject, and it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. Yeah.
Sorry, what is this Unterhaltsvorschuss?
I want to make the Unterhaltsvorschuss, yes. Not every child gets the Unterhaltsvorschuss. Oh, this is a regress thing.
I know.
So you only get the Unterhaltsvorschuss when the government knows that it can take back the money from the father one day. And if that's not the case, then you don't get money. And it's very easy because we have the paragraph 19 in Austria. This is only in Austria, not in the rest of Europe. It's called Unterhaltsherabsetzungsantrag. So the father can go in court anytime and say, no, I'm sorry, I cannot pay 300 euro. I only can pay 10 euro per month. And the moment he signs it, the woman just gets 10 euro per month. And it takes months and months and months until the court says, oh no, you could pay more. Mm-hmm. And the fathers cannot only do this once. They can just repeat doing it.
They have to verify it.
Yes, but it takes a month until they verify it. They just can say, I cannot pay, and they sign this sheet of paper and yes, no, this is an Austrian thing.
Yes.
You could never imagine that in Germany because they say, and they're right, that's against children's rights, but in Austria we still have this.
I was working in the youth welfare office for this long time ago. It was till 1990. 1990. I was working there. It worked with Unterhaltsvorschuss.
Yeah. Now at the moment, 34% of the children in Austria from single parent households, they don't get neither alimony nor state support. Yeah,
that's a step back.
Totally. Mm-hmm. I know.
Mm-hmm. Thanks to some Austrian parties.
Yes.
You mentioned make mothers matter.
Yeah.
And there is also another organization because you said you mentioned also widows. It is not the same, but a little bit part of it are widows. There is an organization in Great Britain that take care about the widows topics. One of the women who goes for this is Farin Hainsworth. I can give you the email address later on. I wanted to ask you, are you going to the CSW this year to New York?
No,
Because
this year, maybe when I get the money from the Ministry of Women, I will go to the very first women's conference in Pacific area in the end of April. So I really want to go there when I get a little money from the Ministry for the flights.
I ask because the main topic this year is access to justice. And the same topic, more or less, is also the topic of the crime congress in Abu Dhabi, if they can do it in April.
Yes.
And well, for me, this is a question of access to justice because if the law, either the law is not here, and there is no access to justice, or you have a law, but you cannot, single moms cannot use what is there because it's too expensive or to whatever barriers are. So all in all, it is a question of access to justice. There is no justice at all. I find out in Austria, well, in Vienna, you might maybe find access to justice, but if you go outside to the countryside, forget about
Also in Vienna, not.
Forget about.
No. Yes, I know. If you find the possibility, I also go to New York to talk about it. I have no problem with that. But yeah. Now there are countries which are developed more, like Canada, for example. Austria is like in the middle field in Europe, but of course, when you look to other countries in the southern hemisphere, I mean, it's even dangerous to talk about this issue because, well, I really ask myself, why is it that single moms are discriminated so much? And well, actually, that's a question I want to ask you. Why do you think that single mothers are no issue and are discriminated for thousands of years? Why do you think?
Yeah, too many taboo.
Why is it a taboo? Why?
I think the world thinks that women can't live without a man. So why are they single and you have to have a man? Yeah. It must be the woman's fault because she didn't think that. I'm sorry to say that, but I think that's one of the big problems in the world today, that you are nobody if you don't have a husband.
Yes, and that's the point. And just imagine, just close your eyes and imagine that you have just a very easy and comfortable life as a single mother. What would that mean to patriarchal patterns? And that's the point. That's the point. Yes.
But did you find out in all your work with the children, also of the single mothers, how do the children think about that, feel about that?
They are traumatized in many ways. I know it from my children. They had very long time. They had a very, very bad relationship to money because money was always something like a freezing moment, you know. And although as a top position I earned money, but it was still, and it was quite irrational, that they really had problem with the topic of money, for example. And of course they felt my stress, of course. No, it's not good for children. No, it's not good for children. No, because you know what mothers face in their nerve system, you know, that immediately goes to their children. They must not talk how they feel. Their children know how they feel, so they grow up in permanent stress, and that's not where we want children to grow up. Although single mothers do everything for their children that feel comfortable, but they cannot when they have so much stress themselves. So it's actually really a children's rights issue, of course.
Did they get any support from the school?
It depends on teachers if they are aware of the...
No, but there is a commission in school, a parents' commission. And they
at school
from the Board of Education, at least.
Some get help, for example, when they are going out for skiing or something like that.
Trips, excursions.
Or trips. Yeah. But depends also on the money situation. So
And books as well?
at the school, my children, I had 2 teachers and they understood the situation and I got help. And one teacher who gave me all the guilt. And yes, so it really depends also on the people. Yeah.
And the Board of Education?
I don't know. It was a private school, so I don't know. I teach there. Yeah.
I have another question.
But that's a very important thing, because when there is money also for the children who come from single parent households, they are not so ashamed. Yeah, that's a very important topic. Yeah.
Do you know about any country who counted or who has got figures about how much this costs on the economic field?
What costs?
No, I mean the women's problem, the problem of the children for maybe even the next generation,
Yes,
etc.
yes,
How much
yes.
this costs to the state?
Yes, Erich Wenninger from the Volkshilfe, he found it out. I'm sorry, I don't know it now, but it's Milliarden. And I found out that the Unterhaltssicherung for children only costed 2019 210 million. So to invest is much more cheaper. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Maybe another question. I mean, there are also single fathers.
Yes.
Do you have connections with? I mean, there are much less in number.
Yes.
But do you have a connection?
I have, of course.
Cooperation with them?
Yes, I also have, and I also invite them for the gala. And my organization is called Thanks to Single Parent Families. This also includes the fathers, but of course there are more mothers, so my focus lies on the mothers. But of course they also come and they also feel welcomed. And also in my team I have men. It's about 9 to 1. So I also try to make this visible in my organization. Yeah. So I have also a few men working with me. And it's not a women's issues, because single moms also have sons, you know. Yeah.
The fathers, do they feel also discriminated, or are they proud going out?
They're proud. They're proud. More proud. I mean, they also have problems, but they're more proud because society say, "Oh, that's great. What are you doing? Oh, do you need help? Wow, you're so sexy. Well, because you're cooking, blah blah." Yes, it's a little, yeah, different.
But it's not for divorce, just like a widow, mostly, I think. Because
Yes.
men are supported better, men are have advantage in work.
Yes,
So
right. And they earn more money. Yes.
so they feel good, I think.
Yeah.
From
Yeah.
my personal opinion. As a single parent, a man is just not divorced.
No.
So it's working single parent because he lost his wife.
Yeah. It's
Mostly.
different. Yeah.
Opinion.
It is.
Sometimes it's not like that, but
It's not like that, I know.
sometimes, you know.
I know,
But
but-
but it is true. The perception is completely different.
different.
Yeah.
No, I had another question I wanted to ask you. Since you mentioned that helping single mothers is preventing femicide. You know?
Yeah.
Have you elaborated some bullet points? Because what are the entry points? What are the issues that would be really important in preventing femicide? So what?
Yeah, the very first thing is that we need, call it in German, Sicherung des Unterhaltes für Kinder, so that the fathers do not pay alimony, they give state support. Because why? There are a lot of mothers, and during COVID I worked at the help chat from the women's shelter, and I wrote with a lot of women who were confronted with domestic violence, and they all said, well, we want to leave our husbands also because of our children, but we know that if we do so, we will live in poverty. So when mothers are confronted with domestic violence, know that they can just have a normal living after divorce, or they just leave. And this prevents suicide. Yeah. And I talk a lot also to Maria Wesselhammer.
Yeah.
And she said it's just that. We really have to strengthen the rights of single mothers to prevent suicide. Yeah.
Anyone online?
So it's also about security, because every government, it is the first thing every government must do, save the people living in this country. So actually should have been really a topic to strengthen the rights of single mothers, because this is saving lives. And it's nothing about the asylanten and the foreigners, they're so dangerous. No, we know how many women are killed in Austria every month. And around the globe. Yeah. And that needs campaigns. And for campaigns, you need money. Yeah. And worldwide campaigns. Yeah, because this is an global issue.
Any other questions? Any other? Okay. Then we thank you very much for this very lively and good. And I thank you also for the questions and the, what is with the TV? Anybody from there?
No.
Okay. Thank you very much.